Welcome to another episode review of Transformers Prime. Today, we're taking a look at the episode Speed Metal. And today, I have a special guest with me. Please welcome Protoman from the Transformers Slag podcast.
Hey, how you doing? This isn't a Hasbro Pulse panel or something? No?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
So, Protoman, you're going to be lending some of your expertise on some of the racing aspects of this episode. Isn't that right?
Yes, a large portion of my young adult life, I did semi-professional race car driving, and even today, I'm a professional mechanic, Class 2, working on European vehicles, even though I love Japanese cars. But so I hope to give a little bit of an insight on this kind of stuff.
In this episode, Jack and Knockout feel the need for speed. We begin this episode with Heatwave on the radio.
As Metropolitan PD continues to crack down on illegal street racing, citing the danger to both drivers and pedestrians.
Obviously, that's Steve Bloom, who plays Starscream in this show, playing the radio news anchor. But seriously, doesn't that just sound like he's using Heatwave's voice? When Knockout pulls up to the other racers, one of the cars appears to be a blue repaint of Bumblebee's car model, which reminds me of Hotshot, the blue repaint of Prime Bumblebee's toy. Which, despite what the wiki says, I doubt that this is the same Hotshot from Rescue Bots Academy. I could maybe see this being Hotshot's dad or something, but it's definitely not the same character in my opinion. Or it could be a nod to Glyph, who was a blue repaint of Bumblebee, which actually might make more sense because there is also what appears to be a green repaint of Cliffjumper's car mode, minus the horns, which could be an homage to Tapout, who was a green repaint of Cliffjumper. So who knows? Maybe this is actually Prime Tapout and he and Glyph were out on a date or something, and this big tatted up musclehead decided that he wanted to race them. You know, make up your own fiction. We never do see the drivers of these two cars, so who knows? They could be more robots in disguise.
So just to note that the comment about Knockout having a European design is spot on, since he's actually an Aston Martin 177, which is British in origin. Knockout is also an automatic car, which does not really have that great of an acceleration advantage from a dry start. He also only has 3 modes in his automatic gearbox, which would we assume is park, reverse, and drive, but he shifts into the second one. I guess I'm just kind of looking too deeply into this.
Maybe. So Knockout runs the guy off the road for scratching his paint. And I gotta admit, I'm kind of with Knockout on this one. As someone who is very protective of their car, I would be quite upset if someone did that to my door. And getting that fixed is not cheap. Trust me, I know. Jack and RC get goaded into racing this guy Vince, who drives this black car with flames on it, which reminds me of another Hotshot, this time the original one, the leader of the Spy Changers from the original Robots in Disguise.
Cherry Moped.
This moped has dual carbs and can go 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds.
Jack? A lady's vital stats are her own business.
Just to note, having dual carbs on a speed bike is not always an advantage in performance again, but maybe RC has some special tuning of her Cybertronian technology. Also, Vince is an idiot, because any speed bike would smoke a car in a drag race. It's a matter of horsepower versus weight ratio, and Vince's car, even in its best situation, if it's sporting 500 horsepower under that hot-rodded hood of his, would still be spinning its wheels as Jack takes off from the start line. Speed bikes are a weight-to-power ratio and will always have the advantage over a car, any car. It's not Formula One, it's what you would be driving on the road.
On board the Nemesis, Starscream disapproves of Knockout's racing with humans.
Can you believe what some skin job did to me? Oh.
Nice. I like Knockout using skin job as a derogatory term for humans, which is a little ironic because it's actually a derogatory term for androids in Blade Runner. So Knockout and Starscream have a little argument.
Buff this.
I feel like maybe there was supposed to be a more obscene gesture to go with this line. Back at the Autobot base, I still can't believe how much RC mass shifts in this series, going from a motorcycle that only goes up to Jack's waist to a giant robot which now towers over him. So Jack gets challenged once again by Vince to another street race, and he asks Raph if he can borrow Bumblebee. Wait, why is he asking Raph? Bumblebee is his own person. He can decide for himself whether he wants to help Jack or not.
So sharp-eyed Formula One fans would note that Raph is actually playing a game with a red Formula One car against a yellow one. This could be a nod to the most famous Formula One battle in all of history of Gilles Villeneuve versus Remy Arnoux. Just to note, a lot of racing pop culture references that race specifically between Gilles Villeneuve and Remy Arnoux, the classic red Formula One against yellow Formula One, reenacting that battle all those years ago in France.
At the race, Knockout recognizes Bumblebee and attacks him, prompting B to call the base for help. And I love how RC puts on her angry mom face.
Until I get my hands on him.
I don't know why Vince is shocked by Jack showing up in a car. He should be happy because if he would have showed up at RC, he would have been smoked right from the get-go. We also have a lot of tail sliding here from these guys who fancy themselves racers, but really should know how to corner better.
Knockout kidnaps Vince, thinking that he's Raph? I don't really see the resemblance, but I guess to Transformers, all humans look alike.
Bumblebee releases a ton of oil here. I hope he doesn't need that for himself since motors use oil to keep from overheating and its moving parts from seizing in the engine and more. I guess maybe Cybertronians don't need motor oil.
And when the Autobot attempts to stage a rescue,
He has a breakdown.
Did Breakdown just make a pun of his own name? I'm not sure whether I love or hate how lame that sounds. However, I do know that I love the sort of sitcom dad moment when Optimus shows up looking for the other Autobots, and Raph and Miko do the fake acting lying thing to him. So the Autobots confront Knockout and Breakdown, and I love this little moment where Knockout shakes RC off of him, and she instinctively transforms into her motorcycle mode and chases after him. Truly some beautiful storyboarding and animation. Bravo, Polygon Pictures! In the end, it's Big Daddy Optimus to the rescue, who rips the door off of Knockout. Ouch, that's gotta hurt.
do you know how hard that is to replace?
Yeah, I found you knocked out by the side of the road.
Wait, was that a pun on Knockout's name? Again, I'm not sure if I love or hate it, but I guess it's the former because I am laughing at it. And the episode ends with Knockout receiving his punishment from Starscream.
No, not the finish. No.
Anything but the finish!
And Jack and RC finally giving Sierra that ride. This was an okay episode of Transformers Prime. It kind of focused a lot on Jack and his social life, which kind of felt like one of those old Greaser movies. It also kind of reminded me of the live-action movies. The strong focus on the human character, their romantic interest, and school bully. A lot of driving fast, the Transformers actually spending a lot more time in their vehicle mode versus their robot mode, and even when they do transform and fight, it's all at night because that's when the CGI looks best. Seriously, I wouldn't be surprised if in 10 years the plot of this episode gets turned into a Transformers movie. Oh wait, it has been 10 years. Well, make that 20 then. And sadly, this was the final episode of Transformers that the legendary Sue Blue directed after she stepped away due to the death of her wife. And unfortunately, other than some BotCon and other convention appearances, Susan Blue has not returned to Transformers to this date. I do hope that one day she does come back and either voice directs a future series, or at least gets the chance to reprise her role of RC. Well, Proto Man, what did you think of this episode of Transformers Prime? How did it stack up against other racing episodes in Transformers? Did it portray the racing scene accurately?
As a Transformer episode, it's great. It had action, a little bit of character development, but as someone who has raced and has a racing background, we're always picking apart everything we see in pop culture when it's depicted in the mainstream. Like the first Fast and the Furious movie. It's not perfect. I'm reminded of how much better Transformers Galaxy Force, which is known as Transformers Cybertron here in the West, handled the concept of motorsports and racing. They dedicated 4 episodes straight into the goings of Planet Speedia, also known as Planet Speed here, and the race between Nitro Convoy, known as Override, against Hotshot and Megatron. The subtle details shown there when it comes to the cornering, the oversteering, and what was more carefully shown from character to character within the animation showed the difference between them and what made a good racer and a bad racer. I'm not saying that the show was better, but clearly the people behind those episodes knew a little more about the finer aspects of racing and what makes cars and motorcycles move faster from one another.
Well, thanks, Protoman, for helping me with this video review. Thank you for lending your expertise when it comes to cars and racing and all that whole world of stuff.
Sure, no problem. I mean, Transformers has always been kind of weird when it has all the little things related to motors and cars and engines and racing and that whole culture. I've said for many years that if all the Autobots had a race, Mirage would beat them all. But, you know, Blur apparently is the fastest, I guess.
So you can all check out Protoman over at the Transformers Slag podcast. I know he does videos basically every day talking about news and all kinds of other cool Transformers stuff. And you can check out his live streams on Saturday nights. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, what did you think of this episode of Transformers Prime? As always, let me know down in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and do all that other fun stuff. And I'll see you back here for the next episode of Transformers Prime, Predatory. Ah yes, the episode that introduces us to Arachnid. I cannot wait for that one. So, see you back here for that next week.